The information and the example that I'm presenting this afternoon is a general example. And if you would like to know more about your specific situation, please do not hesitate to contact us. Our contact details will be available at the end of today's presentation and on the Future Beef website. Today I will be covering body condition scoring, the difference in the nutritional maintenance requirements of a cow calf and a cow and a weaner, the costing for the example I'm using, and how the body condition score impacts on the ability of the cow to cycle, conceive and get back into calf. If you have cows and you are a breeder operation, this is one of, if not the most important goal to your enterprise. To achieve this goal, it does help if you manage the body condition score of your cows. The goal of your breeder is to have one calf per cow per year. And this webinar will cover and help answer these questions. For ease of comparison and the calculations during this webinar, I will be feeding these cows a hay and the weaners a hay and a generic pellet mix. While I've used the nutritional value of and cost of hay for this example, the nutritional requirements and the calculations are also able to be used for your specific situations. The process is the same, the numbers have just changed slightly. So these are the questions that I will be answering during this webinar, and at the end of them, you will be able to answer them both for this presentation and your specific situation. So these are two photos that I took early this year. It was after the first change come through, but before we got a response and before Trevor came through. So the question is, which one of these cows is more likely to cycle, conceive and raise a calf? Cow B is more likely to cycle, conceive and raise a calf, and that's related mainly to body condition. So a bit more history on these two cows. They're both in the same paddock. They're both eating the same type of lick. They're both eating the same type of fodder, yet they are in very different condition. So this is a cow just walking out of a water square. She's in very good order and going along very well. The second cow, I couldn't quite get to play the game when I was taking the photo, but that is the photo of the same cow and that is her calf. Fair lump of a calf, so it's pretty easy to identify one of the main factors of why those two cows are in such different body condition score. As I mentioned briefly before, I will be using hay as this example. No matter what you are feeding your cows, these are four very important questions which you need to ask and know the answer to. How much do they need? How much is it costing me? And what happens if I wean? And is it worth it? Whatever your fodder is, there are nutritional information available. And if you would like to know that, please contact myself or Roger or anyone else at Future Beef and they will be able to pass your request on. So the next slide is how much do they need? A 350 kilo cow, lactating cow, requires 814 grams of crude protein and 69 megajoules of metabolizable energy. Or the roach grass hay in that photo is approximately 7% crude protein and 9 megajoules of energy. How much of this hay does that cow need to eat? This cow needs to consume approximately 13 kilos of hay for maintenance. What amount of hay do you think that cow is physically able to consume during a day? So a quarter of you said 8 kilos, half of you said 10 kilos. The last quarter answered 13. So the answer is a 350 kilo cow, approximately 2.5% of their body weight for daily intake is 8.75 kilos. So she needs to eat this much, but she can only eat this much. The daily intake does depend a bit on the quality of the roughage that she's consuming. As this hay is dry and it is only average quality, that's why I've used that 2.5% rate. It does vary a little bit, but this cow for maintenance, there is a 5 kilo difference in what she needs to eat and what she can physically eat. So therefore, she will be slowly losing weight. This hay that she is eating, how much does it cost you? There are a number of different ways you can put a dollar figure on your fodder. For me, feeding hay was relatively easy. I know how much the bale of hay cost me. I know how heavy the bale of hay is, and it's working out around about $1 a kilo delivered. I understand that this does vary from region to region, but for this example and the ease of calculations, that is what I will be using. So this cow needs to eat 13 kilos of hay per day for maintenance. But as mentioned before, she is physically unable to eat that much and will therefore be losing weight slowly. Here are some photos, amounts and prices of feed for feeding a cow and calf and feeding a cow and a weaner. It might be a little bit hard to see, but there is a little pile of pellets just here in this corner, and that's 2 kilos of weaner pellets. Again, they're sourced from a local supplier, priced at $2 for 2 kilos. The numbers and the figures for this calculation, I haven't displayed them because they will vary from place to place, but to work out the dollars per kilogram of fodder you are feeding can be done quite easily using the adjustment rates. So what happens if you wean earlier? How many extra calves will I have next year as a result of weaning earlier? This is a $64,000 question. The idea behind earlier weaning is not a new one. It has been around for a long time, and it does come down to the number of factors that impact on your conception rate, your pregnancy rate, and the number of calves that you can get on the ground. So before you make a decision, you need to get all of your numbers and facts together for your specific situation and make a judgment call on your property. We at DAF and Future Beef are here to help you make that call. We have lots of numbers and data available for you to use. If you need any help with that, please do not hesitate to make contact with us. Our contact details will be at the end of this webinar. I'm now going to focus a little bit more on body condition score and how it relates to getting your cow back in calf. So getting a cow back in calf can be very hard. As I said before, there are a number of factors that influence this. This is both good and bad. You need to decide which one you focus your time and money on, which one can take the blame if you have a low calving percentage. If you do invest in one of these factors, how do you know that that is a good return on investment? And what factor can take the credit for a good result, and which one do you blame for a bad result? One of these factors is body condition score. Nearly 70% has selected body condition score 4. That is a very logical answer, and I can understand why everyone has selected it. It does, so body condition score does have a big impact on your weaning rate. According to the numbers and the data that I've got and I've used for this presentation, they have said that body condition score 5 has the highest calving percentage. This is based off these being Boss Indicus cattle. The Boss Taurus cattle do, when they are body condition score 5, generally don't, the conception rate does drop a little bit, but this webinar is focused on getting the cow back in calf after calving, where it's generally accepted that she will be in a lower body condition score, especially with the conditions that have been in Western Queensland and Queensland in general over the last couple of years. There's not too many people, I think, that would have a problem with their cows being too fat. So this webinar will focus on taking body condition score 1 and 2 up to a 3, where the significant difference can be seen in that conception rate. So now we go back to some photos and back to the real world. These two cows are in the same paddock. They're both on the same type of fodder, same type of lick, being managed the exact same way. I've given the red cow on the left there body condition score of 2. This is on a range of conception rate from 20 to 50% for an average of 35. The brindle cow on the right, I've given a body condition score of 3. She's got a little bit more coverage over her ribs and her hips not quite as pronounced. And her chance of getting back in calf averages out around about 60%. So it doesn't have, that's a 30% difference for one body condition score from a 2 to a 3, which is nearly double the chance. And the difference to take a score 2 cow to a score 3 cow is about 12 to 14% of the live weight of the individual animal. So that cow on the left, put an extra 10, 12, 14% live weight on her, and she will come up to that score 3, and that will double her chance of getting back in calf. So a quick summary of the last couple of slides. You want less cows that look like the red one on the left, and you want more cows that look like the brindle on the right. One of the easiest ways to do this is to get rid of this thing here that's sucking her. This is one of the main reasons why this cow is a body condition score 2. This slide that's coming up is the most complicated one of the entire presentation. There will be quite a number of clicks and things that pop up on your screen. If I can just ask that you do pay attention and wait to the end to get the overall information. So I'm talking in the paddock that, for this example, is the paddock that had those 2 cows, that red cow and calf and that brindle cow in it. There are around about 150 cows in that paddock. Their body condition scores are roughly broken down into the rankings that can be seen on the screen. About half of them are in calf or have a big calf at foot, so their body condition is a bit lower. The next lot up are the dry cows. Their condition's a bit better. And then there's a few there that haven't had a calf the last couple of years and are going quite well, as could be seen by that red fat cow that was early on in the presentation. So to wean your calves, if you wean them when you normally do, so we'll just say that that's going to be in 30 days. So between now and when you normally wean, your cows are going to be losing weight. They're going to be going backwards because they physically cannot consume enough roughage of the fodder to meet their maintenance requirements. So I'm going to say they're going to lose about 10 kilos over that 30 days, or about a quarter of a body condition score. So then we're going to wean them, and then 30 days after we wean them, they're going to be putting weight back on. So I'm going to say they're going to do not quite half a kilo a day, and they're going to pick up about 20 kilos or 0.5 of a body condition score. So in 60 days, so we take 30 days plus 30 days is 60 days. So at the end of those 60 days, the body condition score of the mob is going to be something similar to this. The mob has gone backwards a little bit because they've had those big calves on them. So yeah, and the working off the average of the averages of these 3 body condition scores, as we can see down the bottom there, they're going to be around about 50% calving rate. 73 out of 150 going to be in calf. So now we're going to change the scenario a little bit, and we could wean right now. So this is I'm going to call this earlier weaning. I don't really like the term early. It's very subjective. Different people wean at different times. So I'm just going to say earlier weaning. So that's just earlier than whenever you normally do it. So we wean our calves and then wait our 60 days. So those cows have been gaining weight for 60 days. Again, I'm going to say they're going to be gaining not quite half a kilo a day. So then on average, they're going to put on 36 kilos or 1 full body score on average. And then the body condition score of the mob will look something like this. And again, working off averages, the number of cows that will be in calf will be 91 out of 150, simply by weaning 30 days earlier. So to summarize this slide, just by bringing your weaning forward 30 days, you can get 18 extra calves or 10% calves for your next drop. Is that worth it? That comes down to your specific situation. Are there other factors that might have a bigger impact on your calving percentage? what are your weaners? What is your enterprise? Are you selling weaners or are you growing them out a bit? What is more important, slightly heavier weaners this year or 10% calving next year? That's a judgment call that you have to make for your own property. We are here to help you come to that decision by providing you with facts and information. This presentation can be summarised in this slide. We've got the cow and calf on the left, you've got the brindle cow on the right. You need less cows that are in body condition score 2, like that red cow, and you need more like the brindle, which is in a score 3. The cows that have a similar body condition score to the brindle have, on average, they have an extra 30% conception rate just through one body condition score, which is about 12 to 14% live weight. So the more you can get like this, the more cows you will be able to get in calf for next year. So tips and tricks and lessons learned from other producers who have weaned earlier has been around for a long time. There are lots of producers that do it and do it well. I've had a yarn with some of these, and these are some of the tips and tricks and mistakes that they have made in the past. Probably the most common one that these producers have said is to split your weaners up into different sizes. Minimum of 2. 3 is better if you've got enough yard space. Now, I understand that different people have different setups and this is not always possible, but if you are able to do it, it does make a big impact, especially on those little fellas getting bullied at the feed trough and getting pushed out of the road. Those are the little fellas that you need to look after just a little bit better, and it does make a really big difference at the end of your weaning.